Hey everybody, this is Jerry. I'm here with Cecilia, and she studied in Germany and America and China.
Yeah.
So we're here to talk about that. When did you come to America to study?
I came to America after graduating from high school. That was quite a few years ago. I don't want to tell you my
Don't worry, you don't
age.
have to say.
But yeah, when I was 18, yeah, I came to America for college.
And was there a culture shock when you first came?
Yeah, definitely. So many that I lost count. But one of the very first cultural shock was when I saw my roommate put bread in her soup. Yeah, because in the part of China where I came from, we all drink clear broth, and you don't put any like bread or crackers in the soup. But in America, soup is like could be creamy.
Exactly.
And you put crackers, carbs in the soup and eat it together. Yeah, in China, like we drink soup, we don't eat soup.
Are you from Southern China?
Yeah, I'm from Southern China.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so you saw the roommate put the bread in the soup. Did you gasp or did you ask?
Yeah, I gasped.
You're like,
Yeah.
wow. And what'd your roommate do?
She's like, I'm just eating a soup. Yeah.
And what was your favorite food once you started eating American cuisine?
I love burgers.
Burgers.
I really like a medium steak burger, and I really like pizzas. And yeah, but they're not really American though.
Yeah, that's true. They're Western, I guess.
Yeah.
But the portions are American. They're much
Oh
bigger.
yeah. I was also really shocked by the portions too.
How much we eat.
Yep, really big portions. Yeah, way too much for typical Southern Chinese girl.
That's true.
Yeah.
So when you started classes, was there any culture shock? Like, did you feel like your American peers worked not as hard as you, or they worked more hard, or they worked hard in a different way?
Actually, I found that they worked quite hard. I thought lots of Chinese heard that Americans they just have fun throughout their education, and but I found out that was not actually true. A lot of students actually took extensive notes in class. I saw them pulling out notebooks and write lots of stuff down, and I was really shocked. I'm like, wow, they actually pay a lot of attention to what the professors said.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I went to Wisconsin, and I guess a lot of classes were pretty hard. So, of course, there were slackers too.
Of course.
Yeah.
And was there a big Chinese American population or Chinese population in your school?
Yeah.
Okay.
A state school like Wisconsin has a very large international student population. And nowadays, the largest source of international students is China.
Oh, makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, were there any cases where you're like, what you said there, that's not cool, or someone did anything that made you be like, I don't feel welcome?
One year, that wasn't the first year, but one night, me and my friend, we walked on the street to go to a pub, and two guys walked up to, when they passed us, they called us ching ching chong chong.
Oh no.
That kind of thing, and that really surprised me because I felt like, well, Madison is such a safe campus environment, and you couldn't have encountered anything like that.
Yeah, it's the Midwest. You know, the stereotype is Midwesterners are so nice.
That is true.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did you do? Did you keep walking, or did you give them a face?
Yeah, I mean, they walked past really fast, so I couldn't have caught them, and I walked past, but I was really mad.
I bet.
Yeah.
They're probably just really drunk.
Yeah, they were, of course, at night. People were drunk and not really respectful. Yeah.
And so when you went back to China, let's say on break, did you suddenly feel like Chinese culture, you're like, oh, I miss American culture a little bit.
Yeah. At first, there are many differences. For example, crossing the roads, people in China wouldn't really pay so much attention to the lights. And also, the cars would not wait for the people to cross. That's just not how the traffic rule traditions in China is. And then, and then there were so many differences. So I wouldn't say that they're really bad differences, but I definitely felt like some parts of the lifestyle in America, I prefer them better.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And were there ever cases where you after you're back in China, you're like, oh, this part of China is definitely much better. This tradition, this convention.
Yeah. I would say I think Chinese are great at the family value part. Chinese people do emphasize a lot on keeping the family together very close, not just your core family, the parents and the kid, but also taking care of your relatives, your siblings and grandparents, those kind of things. So even though you might not like your aunt or uncle that much, but respect, okay, like you still respect them. That's just what we were brought up, how we were brought up. So I think that part is something I'm proud of my culture.
Interesting. And were you an only child?
No, I'm not an only child.
So you have siblings?
I have siblings.
Wow. How many?
I have 4.
That's pretty cool. So you went home and you had a full house?
Yep.
And did any of them study in America, or were you the only one?
No, I'm the only one. Yeah.
You're like the black sheep of the family, as they say.
Exactly.
Oh,
I'm the Americanized one.
Do they ask you a bunch of questions like, oh, what's America like?
Oh, yeah.
Are they all fat?
Sometimes relatives can be pretty offensive. They're like, do they only eat burgers and steak every day? I'm like, not every American can afford to eat burger and steak every day. Yeah, it's like not every Chinese can eat hot pot or or certain type of soup every day. Yeah.
Well, did you ever get a talk? Like when I went back to China, I'd always get a talk from my relatives like, Jerry, you're still Chinese, remember that? Did they ever tell you that?
I remember that very, very well. They do that a lot. And that's what I don't like about my culture is that they're so obsessed with the Chineseness, and they think that only mainland China is the only original authentic China, and no one else outside of China can understand or own any part of the Chinese culture, and it's just, I think it's very narrow-minded. When after I left my country, I realized that's such a big mentality in people who live there their whole life, and whenever they talk about that, like, never forget you're Chinese, never forget that 5,000 years of history and that rich culture. But to respect the elderly, I wouldn't talk back really aggressively. But to some open-minded people, I would argue. Yeah.
Nice. I would talk back, but that's because I'm more Americanized.
Yeah.
But I made a video about this, about how I don't like the fact that we're automatically respecting your elders. So I'm very not really for that.
I mean, I would say I would just maintain my respect for everyone, and especially for elderly, I would try to be a little more patient at least. But if they do things that is just not in character, then if they're taking advantage of being an elderly, then I wouldn't respect that either.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you were in China for a few years. Did you go to school more in China, or did you start working immediately after you went back to China?
Yeah, I started working immediately.
Okay. And your YouTube channel that you run, she has a very popular, very awesome YouTube channel. Was this started in Wisconsin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
And it was you and 2 of your classmates together.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who came up with the idea?
It was an idea. Well, we actually met at a conference on
Uh-huh.
campus, and after talking a lot, after the conference, we decided together to do something, and then we all thought that a video project would be the best form of medium to deliver the messages.
I see. And did you blow up on campus real quickly, or was it relatively unknown outside of the Asian community on campus?
I think actually it wasn't that big on campus first. It was picked up by a state newspaper first, and then that press got the attention on campus. Yeah.
Okay. And then did people want to be on your channel and everything?
No, we're not like a celebrity channel, but people are very interested, and they're willing to contribute. They're lots of Chinese students are very interested in joining us. Chinese students from all over the Chinese students from all over the U.S. and even the world has written us that they want to contribute.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried to open it up to people? Be like, hey, send us your best bits, and then compiled it?
Yeah, I have. I have played with that thought, but no, I don't have the time to manage and don't have the infrastructure.
Sure.
So I'm sorry if you were one of them and we didn't follow up with your idea. It's not because we don't think that was good. It's because we really are not able to keep up with all those messages and pitches.
Yeah. I mean, if it's 3 people and then she's the main one, it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I kept switching brands. I mean, I'm not switching brands anymore, but my first 2 channels I started, I just couldn't keep it up because I had to rely on other people. And so that's what I'm trying to do. I know that's what you want to do in the future. You want to have a more personalized brand.
Right, yeah. I want to be updating my own personal journey instead of like a channel that discusses overall cultural stuff with other people. I will update my life, and I mean through that I think that will provide some inspiration to others. Yeah.
Okay. So after working in China for a few years, you went to Germany. And was it a tough decision, or was it like, oh, I've always wanted to see Germany, I want to go?
It was a tough decision, but I knew I've always wanted to live in more places in the world. I always knew that China and US, these 2 countries, shouldn't be the only 2 countries I spend a longer time in. And then the opportunity came up and I could move to Europe, and I made the move. And so far it's been great. I love Europe.
So I assume you started studying English probably in elementary school in China, right? So now you have to learn German basically from scratch.
Exactly.
How's the process like? Do you find German hard, or is it easy, or is it somewhere in the middle?
German is so hard. German is much harder than English. English does not have 3 genders for every noun.
3 genders?
Yeah, masculine, feminine, and neutral. And English does not have 4 cases. So yeah, it's I don't know how to explain, but it's just way more complicated linguistic system. And then yeah. And it doesn't. And German also use some English words, but they don't mean and pronounce the same. So sometimes it can be even more confusing.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but it's really hard. I think studying a new language from scratch after you graduated from college has also brought that fresh language acquisition experience back to me in the past, because we just talked. I've been learning English since I was little, and then I can't really understand why people can, like, if they're doing the same thing like I do, they're reading, they're watching shows, they're listening to English music or radio. So if they're doing those things, why can't they be the same as I am? But after I started with German, I found that it's just really hard unless you grew up or started really early with it. It's hard.
Wow.
I can understand other people more, that people have difficulties with language learning. Everybody takes different paces.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Who are some of the other people in your class, or do you study it by yourself? Like, how do you learn the language?
I take German classes with other students from all over the world. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Are they all your age? Or are they slightly younger?
All ages.
Cool.
Yeah, all age groups. Yeah.
And so now you're living in Germany. What do you find are major differences between how Germans do things and how Americans are?
Germans are really on time. They're definitely very good at organizing and planning. They are exact to the minutes. They're more like 2:10. That's me, 2:15, 2:10, 2:40, that kind of thing.
I see.
Yeah. At first, I felt like, why do we have to be so exact? Can't we just play by ear?
Yeah.
But then I realized, that's just how things are. Yeah. And then I start to really appreciate it. I like it. It's a respect for both parties to be clear about the time and the expectations, so that things don't happen like one party just say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm late for half an hour, and that's really disrespectful to the other person. Yeah.
And the other thing you mentioned is that, and this is something I know personally from knowing people who grew up in Germany, is that Germans tend to be a little cold at first, and then once they get to know you, they'll be very nice. But they're not like your, hey, what's up type of Americans.
Yeah, Germans don't appear to be really warm up front. For example, we had a couple house parties, and in America, when the girlfriends meet each other, they'd be like, oh my god, and then they hug, and then they jump around. They're so dramatic. But my German female friends, when they met each other, they just like lightly hugged each other, and there were no screaming involved. But yeah, they're really close friends. It's like I felt like they're a little more like Chinese. They don't express that kind of emotion that over the top. But don't get me wrong. When they say goodbye, when they greet each other, they kiss on the cheeks. So yeah, they're perfectly fine with like intimate, more intimate type of greetings and etiquettes. But they definitely don't appear to be super warm and energetic and high energy. Just from what I have seen. Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool. Do you find there's a difference between German humor and American humor and Chinese humor?
I don't think German humor is something that I can understand. There are Germans who try to tell jokes, and then I just fail to understand, get it, and laugh at it every time.
Is it because the humor is very dark?
I mean, like, you're going to make me offend Germans here. But I have told my German friends, I think most of the situation when my German friends told me some jokes, they found it really, really funny, and they laughed as soon as they told the jokes. But if the listener is not from Germany, they just stare at it and don't know how they're supposed to react. But Germans found it really, really funny. So I don't think it translates.
I see. So there's just some sort of cultural element that's lost in German humor. It's not like a lot of American humor. There's very slapstick based and stuff. You can watch that in any language and you'll laugh. But
American humor, I think Americans are very satirical. But Chinese don't actually appreciate satire that much. Lots of Chinese would take it as truth.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't think that you are being satirical. They think you are actually talking negative. So and it's a misunderstanding. But I get it. But for the German jokes, I just don't get it.
My mom watched Dewey Cox I think it's called It's called Walk Hard: The Dewey Cox Story, and it's John C. Riley making fun of all these biopic movies on musicians, and it was a satirical movie. And at the end of it, my mom's like, "Oh, so this really happened?" Like she didn't understand the whole movie was supposed to be funny.
No,
it was supposed to be a parody of all Johnny Cash, a parody of Elvis, but she thought it was real because she didn't understand satire.
Yeah, she
It's
doesn't
really fun.
really, yeah, Chinese, it's not really big part of the comedy.
Yeah, which is very interesting. But then of course China has all these really cool types of comedies like xiaoping. They don't really like xiaoping's kind of like the equivalent in American theatrical plays like one acts, but like usually the xiaoping in China tries to be a little bit more deep. Like there's always an underlying lesson behind it.
Yeah, there is, and maybe I was also wrong about saying Chinese don't get the satire. It could be depends on the context, because satire is something one can only understand when you know what is normally
what's
true.
the norm? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. What's
norm?
accepted as
Yeah, and then the Chinese don't understand what's the norm in an American context,
Exactly.
and they would think that that's true, but actually, yeah, you just have to know the norm, the context to get the joke. I mean, after I think about it, I think Chinese definitely do say negative things sometimes to try to make fun of each other. Yeah, I don't think that is not in non-existential in China, but maybe not as common, because if you keep doing that, that is kind of offensive.
Yeah. Did you have trouble with sarcasm when you first came to
Oh
America?
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I that happened. So I would say that it's both reasons that we're not used to that much sarcasm, and then we are not familiar with the context.
Yeah, we just don't understand. It's like, what do you mean you say one thing and you mean the opposite and it's supposed to be funny?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I get sarcasm, I can recognize it, but I also don't find it funny. I'm just like, yeah, okay, you're being sarcastic. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah. Sometimes just don't know what's supposed to be the norm, and how it's funny. Mm-hmm.
I think the one thing that China should bring to America, humor-wise, is it's I don't know what it's called in Chinese. I forgot the name, but it's the two people, and they one person's maybe the straight man, the other person's being the funny person.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
And so I mean, I've been to stand-up comedy shows where sometimes it's like two people playing off each other doing stand-up, but the Chinese way of doing it is like a new level. It's like a next level thing.
Yep.
So,
That's
called 相声. That's what it's called.
相声.
相声.
Yeah, it's called 相声. Yeah.
But then the thing is, stand-up comedy, like one man's stand-up comedy, was not something in China until recently. Like I would tell my parents, like, hey, I sometimes do stand-up. They're like, what's stand-up? And I was like, it's kind of like 相声, but it's like one person. They're like.
Yeah, I think I've seen actually Chinese 相声 with only one comedian. That is not that has happened before, but most of the time it's done by two people.
Yeah.
And yeah, stand-up comedy is also growing in some Chinese cities. People are watching American stand-up comedies, and they're trying to bring that to China and telling Chinese jokes in that form.
That's right. They also say 脱口秀, right? That's kind of sort of their way of like translating stand-up. Even though 脱口秀 sounds like talk show, which is not exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a bad translation.
Yeah. It's not the best translation, but it sounds like it. Yeah.
So what's your plan now? Are you going to stay in Germany? Do you want to become one of those people traveling all around the world?
Well, to be honest, I can't really plan beyond 3 years. Within this 3 years, I think Germany, and then maybe back to China a little bit. So it could be these two countries. It's hard to plan beyond 3 years because things change really quickly. Exactly. There are always surprises. Like I didn't really plan for Germany, and it happened, and then so I accepted it. I love it. So I think I will plan for short term, and that's China and Germany. But then in the long term, we'll just see what life has to offer.
Yeah. So for for those of you who want to see her channel's called Channel C, right?
Yeah.
I was almost going to
Channel
say Community C, but no, Channel
C.
C.
Channel C, yeah.
Channel C. And how long has the channel been around?
It's been around for a while. I think 5 years maybe. Yeah,
Wow.
we started it since college.
And your most popular video is Signs You're a Basic Chinese Bitch, right? Is that the most popular?
No, the most popular is why Chinese students don't speak English.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Because the Chinese bitch one got on TMD Shanghai.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking of those views. If you count those views, it's
yeah.
probably the most popular.
Yeah, that could be true. Yeah.
But
yeah.
on your channel, the why Chinese students don't speak English is a.
That's the number one.
And that's a pretty cool topic because I've had a lot of Chinese friends tell me it's just like to them Americans speak too fast.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not the only reason, but that's one of the reasons. My friend Kevin, who's made videos with me in the past, says sometimes he just can't express himself well in English as well as Chinese. So he feels like when he's talking to Americans, he sounds stupid.
Yeah. So. That's exactly why. And you can't blame them.
Yeah.
If someone takes up a new language later in their life, like maybe at 12 or even 18 sometimes, then the chances are you can't really express your feelings very well.
Yeah.
Even though you can express logical words like writing papers, but sometimes it's frustrating that you can't express your feelings to another person and they ignore your feelings or they think you're slow or retarded because some people are judgmental. This is very true for me now because I need to express myself in German to German people, and I definitely sound stupid, sound really, really retarded because my vocabulary is so limited. Yeah, and the vocabulary is definitely not enough to express intricate feelings. So I always feel insufficient. And I always try to use English.
No, I see.
Yeah, and then now I know that's because that's a language I acquire much later. I just can't do it. Yeah,
Exactly.
but the lucky thing is that all the German people around me are so friendly. They understand me. And they wait for me to finish and they also help correct me.
Nice.
So that environment really helped. It doesn't make me feel as stressed and rejected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see. So next step, you're going to learn French also, right?
Maybe Spanish.
Spanish would be a good choice.
Yeah.
It's spoken so much by so many people.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Awesome. So this was Cecilia. Please subscribe to our channel.
Subscribe to my channel.
Exactly. And leave a comment, press like, and press subscribe to my channel, of course.
Yeah, you do that too.
And and you'll go on your channel too. So I guess my channel is just my name, Jerry, Liu.
Yep.
Or you can follow my fight commentary breakdown.
Yep. Subscribe to channel C.
Exactly.
Search channel C.
Yep.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jerry.
Bye-bye.
Bye.